All right, you're listening to KXLU 88.9, broadcasting live from Loyola Marymount University. This is Gussie's Dream Corner. I'm very excited to be sitting with two of the guys from Jimkata. What's up? How's it going?
Good, man. Just getting up over here. We're in Colorado right now.
Okay, cool.
Little bit of time to sleep in a little bit today.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I was a little worried I was gonna sleep through this, but I didn't. So
yeah,
we're
all
good.
good.
Isn't it 1 p.m. on the West Coast?
Yeah.
No, it's earlier there.
It's
Oh, right.
10. Yeah, it's
right.
10.
It's 1 p.m. on the East Coast.
No,
So
1
props to you for
p.m. I
getting
can
up.
do.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess to start, give me your names, give me positions in the band, and yeah.
My name's Evan Friedel. I'm a singer and guitar.
I'm Packy. I do drums, electronics.
Sweet, cool. So I guess my first question and the thing that kind of intrigued me the most about you guys was that you've been friends for since middle school, correct?
Yeah.
Cool. So has music always been the bond in the friendship? Did you make that friendship over music, would you say, or was it kind of a slow progression?
I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I met Evan in a music store because we were, both our parents had sent us to take lessons.
Okay.
And, but then we were in school together too.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
We met at a local music shop, and he was taking drum lessons. I was taking some guitar lessons, and we would I don't know, somehow our paths crossed where we would have like crossover time where like he'd be done with his lesson, I'd be done with mine or something, and he'd start banging on the demo drum sets in the shop and piss everybody off, and then I'd start playing the guitar, and we were basically just like playing a set in there, like covering like, oh, do you know Nirvana, like, you know this song, and like, until they were like, hey, you gotta buy this shit or not, like but that's basically how we met. And then over time that's definitely, music was always at the center.
Cool. Yeah, that sounds like I can picture that for sure, the middle schoolers in the music store. So obviously you started pretty much immediately playing music. How did the like we should make a band conversation go, or was it pretty organic?
I think it was a reasonable thing to do in that time because when you're a teenager, that's a good social outing. It's a good excuse to be able to go to a rehearsal as opposed to just going and fucking off with your friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that totally makes sense.
I think like the actual, in a weird way, I don't think it ever was necessarily a conversation. It's just, we just started jamming together, and then eventually a while later it was like we needed a name for a band or whatever, and that's how it came about.
Yeah, absolutely. Was that the first name you came up with? Was there any
Unfortunately, yeah.
Oh, okay. No, that's good. That's impressive. It's good to come up with it quick because.
Well, actually, that's not true. We had a version of us in middle school called Livewire.
Okay, there we go. That's what I was hoping for. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have a very similar situation in my own band where it's been my best friend since 3rd grade, and
nice.
we had a few bad ones. I think we had White Noise was in there. Like,
that's kind of cool.
It's pretty Livewire-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you play, Angus?
I play bass.
Nice. Cool.
That's my main thing. Yeah, and bass in the Orcas. That's what we stuck with. So cool. Yeah. What was I gonna say? I guess so. Obviously, in a band. Did you know that that's what you were, or like, I guess at what point did you realize that was like the thing you were going to do? Because obviously, it starts as a social outing and then it becomes more serious as you get older.
I think once we coalesced like in college, everybody kind of realized that this is what we would rather be doing than getting a degree and kind of pursuing anything academic. So like when Evan and Aaron moved down to Ithaca, and we kind of really started in jest there. And yeah, I think it was clear that nobody was trying to like go into pre-law or pre-med or do anything like worthwhile that way. So making music just seemed like the logical next step, especially because it was, you know, we had momentum going already.
Yeah, absolutely. And my understanding is you guys kind of started, you know, house shows, then clubs, then bars, then kind of just worked your way up. Was it a pretty, I guess, was there any was there much thought to that, or was it pretty, again, organic, or was it like, okay, we need to step it up, we need to be like a band seeking out shows?
I think we've always been we've always been ambitious in that sense of like, you know, taking it seriously and wanting to make moves and and all that. But you know, honestly, like the first step, like Packy said, was, you know, Aaron and I moved. We moved apart after high school or whatever, but then after a year or so, we moved back and to you know, Ithaca, where we met up again. And at that point, I think it just sort of started as like, what's the best gig we can get? Where is there an after party show somewhere we can play, where or a house party where we know like a bunch of people are going to be at? And like I think it was mostly about just being hungry and trying to find good opportunities to where people are going to be and present yourself, you know? And then I think we gradually learned like how to I don't know, how to get better as a band, both musically and the way you present yourself and all that stuff. Like that kind of came with time.
I think you get more sought after too. Like if you're in a college town and word gets out that you're good to bring people into a room, you start to get hit up for support when other bands come to town. So I think that's kind of how like a lot of the earlier gigs, like we just became familiar with club owners because they would need to put, you know, bodies in a room. So they would hit us up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's one of my, like, I'm such a sucker for like college bands or bands that started in college, just because I do think, well, I don't know what the music scene was like in Ithaca, but I just love when there is kind of that like very small community that has these own niche bands that like maybe aren't huge outside of the town, but it's like these are the bands.
Absolutely.
And I guess,
Ithaca definitely has that. And that's why we're from Oneonta originally, just a couple hours from there. But like in terms of New York and upstate New York and all that, like Ithaca was and still is, but I would say almost was more at that time when we were there, a really vibrant like music scene, especially college. Because Ithaca College had a pretty good music school, and so there are a lot of really brilliant musicians hanging around, and a lot of shows, you know, house shows at little bars and stuff. And so there was definitely a thriving thing going on.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. And it's good to see you guys kept going and made it out. So I guess well, you already mentioned Nirvana in the music store. Like it's such a cliche question, but I am curious about like kind of your biggest influences, either musically and the sound you want to make, or like who made you, and that could be personal influences, obviously. Like who kind of set the whole music thing in motion for you guys?
I was gonna say that, you know, that song Scat Man by a guy's named Scatman John.
Yeah, I do.
No, I'm not. I'm just playing with you. I was
like, all right, that was a crazy answer.
That would be us. No, I was just playing. I was thinking about that earlier, but no, I mean, I think that's definitely the start of it. You know, there's multiple phases to us as a band and as human beings. You know, at first we were kind of bonding over Nirvana and Rancid and Bad Religion and Green Day and all this stuff. Okay. And just learning how to play those songs and covering those songs. And then just as time went by, I think our musical influences sort of expanded. You know, all of a sudden things like, like Genesis became something we were listening to a lot of, things that like, you know, like
Prog,
Depeche Mode,
Police, a lot of
Police for sure.
Things came in waves.
Yeah, and then we're all, you know, influenced by a lot of like electronic music and hip hop type stuff of that sort of just like, I mean, was such a big part of the 2000s, late 90s, 2000s era of like everything's you know, electronic and hip hop is kind of taking hold, and so of course you have a lot of influences from that.
Yeah. When we first started touring too, it was kind of like in the big boom of like EDM. So, you know, it was unavoidable to have that like kind of slip in as an influence, just because like on the road, like often it would be like dubstep DJ, Jimkata, dubstep DJ.
Yeah. All of a sudden that, it became a thing.
Yeah.
So like that is part of like our show, you know, we always do try to like in the live setting present like a real heavy hitting, you know, danceable, like fun kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely hear that. Yeah, hear that in your music without being EDM artists. It's like that. That definitely that rubs off a little bit for sure.
We were already like influenced by like the Chemical Brothers
for sure. Yeah,
and
we came up with that stuff too. Fatboy Slim, like, you know.
Yeah.
RJD2 stuff, you know, early pioneers of that.
Daft Punk.
Yeah, absolutely. And any Aphex Twin in there?
Yeah.
Cool. I figured. Yeah, so I guess that leads me to, you know, what you're, and I'm sure it's evolved since, you know, since the early days, but kind of what the creative process is like for you guys as a band, you know, songwriting ideas. I want to know if it's like, you know, you all have ideas that you kind of compromise and build on, or like, you know, if one song's this person, one song's this person, and kind of how you come up with, you know, an album, I guess.
Yeah. For this particular round of songs, like I definitely started the songwriting process, and usually that's how it works. It's like, you know, I'll start with like a demo that I'm making and working on, and then we kind of all like get together and start sort of producing it further. You know, it's kind of run the gamut over the years. You know, sometimes like Aaron will have an idea, sometimes Patrick will have an idea, and then we kind of like hash it out together, you know. But yeah, it's we used to be more of a, like when we started, like you know, knowing the origins of our band, we used to be more like in a room kind of banging things out, you know, playing a riff over and over again until it became a song, you know. And then as time went by, we got a little more intentional and into the production side of things. So now it's like we can take a demo and end up with sounds and structures that we want to keep that make it to the final record, you know. So it's much more intentional, I think, now.
Absolutely, yeah. That makes sense. So I guess, you know, I'm, like I said, in a similar situation in terms of playing with my best friends. I want to know for you guys, and I guess for everyone listening, if that like, I know how, at least in my situation, that relationship can become kind of mindless in a good way, of like you're so keyed into each other that you have like a pretty good, you know, hive mind, I guess. So is that something that you guys feel like you can kind of tap into the same thing pretty easily?
I'd say so. We've been playing together long enough where you can kind of anticipate each other a lot better than you can with new people, for sure.
Yeah.
So you can kind of like make room for that in everything you do.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess I don't want to start any beef within the band, but is there times where you feel like that that relationship can be detrimental or kind of slow you down at all, or is
Never.
it pretty
No, I mean, I think if anything, it's like you know people each other so well that one of the things I feel like I've learned over the years, just with people in general, in relationships in general, is that oftentimes like people's assets and their, I don't want to say like their downfalls, or I don't know if that's the right word, but
Yeah, no,
whatever, positive and negative, they're
Weaknesses.
they're on there you go. Weaknesses maybe are two sides of the
Lesser
same
develops.
two sides of the same coin. Like it's like as if like the same reason somebody is brilliant also might be like I don't know, the same reason they're late. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, exactly.
it's, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you kind of learn to really kind of just roll with it, you know, with people, and just kind of accept people for who they are. You know, and there's a lot of things about this band that make it creatively what it is that are you know, not really good at conforming to whatever certain societal norms or whatever. And that's rock. So you're dealing with you know, creative people. You know, we're weirdos essentially. So you have to have like a level of just understanding, and that's how it is, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you gotta take the good with the bad, I guess.
Yeah,
which is, yeah, always a good understanding to have.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you guys took a brief hiatus between 2016's In Motion LP and last year's Bonfires. Both albums I enjoy tremendously, by the way. But can I ask what the reasoning was for the break?
Just we've been on the road for so many years, and it was all just getting to be like a little much, I think, and everybody was just kind of feeling like we were putting all of our efforts into this and kind of still like spinning our wheels, and like maybe it's a good time for the first time ever to like take a pause and kind of like reassess what it is we're trying to do in a more longer term format.
Yeah. It's like the same thing we you know, we started out, you know, yeah, like house parties, club shows, etc. And it was just this endless sort of grind, you know. And when we started touring, we would just like crash at people's houses and like, you know, wherever the after party was at. And, you know, like you're kind of touring is like a kind of can be a rugged lifestyle.
Yeah,
And so
Absolutely. Yeah.
after years of that, you just get a little tired and need to take a break.
Yeah,
you know, and,
your equilibrium gets off after a long time on the road.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I figured it was I don't want to say burnout because that sounds negative, but yeah, definitely.
there's burnout.
Yeah, more or
Okay,
less.
yeah. So yeah, I would imagine that's exhausting, and yeah, especially, I mean, even your best friends can, you know, you want some time alone. So I totally get it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I guess in that break, you know, obviously you are musicians at heart, so there's, you know, you didn't just quit music. And I guess I'm curious kind of what filled the, obviously there's no touring, so you have more time, you can breathe a little bit. But kind of what filled the that creative gap a little bit, like if you were still thinking about the next album, if you were, you know, working on your own stuff, if you did just fully, you know, take a break from music for a second, which would also be understandable. So
Well, in the absence of like a tour schedule, I think everyone and I realized like how much time we had on our hands, and then without having to be around to constantly like be traveling, we were like we could really live anywhere right now. So like we came out, we were living in LA for a few years, and there was always the songs just kicking around. It wasn't like certain what was going to happen with them. So it just seemed like a logical thing to be, you know, in a bigger city where the sun always shines, and just keep working on music.
absolutely, yeah.
It was almost like a habit we couldn't kick at that point, though.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
figured. Yeah, I was like, there's no way they're gonna say, "Oh yeah, we just stopped doing music," you know, took up woodworking or something. But
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we tried, you know, we tried to go straight. It didn't work.
Yeah, I think everybody realized that. Like when there wasn't a tour, like it took away just like such a big part of like everybody's lives. And so I think, without that, it was almost like felt like empty.
Yeah, it's a big part of our identity as a group and as individuals, you know. Just feels like that's the calling in life, you know. So when that's not there, you start to wonder what's going on. And then also when people start messaging you or being like, hey, I really love music, man, like I wish you guys would get back together, or you know, whatever, that stuff started pouring in, and more people seem to be coming listening to us and becoming aware of us. So all of that combined sort of eventually gave us the you know, inspiration to just go at it again.
Yeah, it was a pull back in rather than a push back in.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think that's the best way for that yeah, for that to happen. Like it doesn't seem forced. You guys seem happy to be back, so that's good. I do know, well, we're doing this interview because I'm promoting your guys' show at the Mint. Well, we're doing the interview because I'm want to interview you guys, but also promoting your show on February 3rd at the Mint in Los Angeles. A show I'm very excited to be attending and giving away tickets for after this interview airs. So, and obviously you're coming off a hiatus anyways. How did that feel to come back and be like plan? And again, obviously there's, you know, a pandemic, which is unavoidable in any of these conversations, but yeah, I guess and I would imagine even after the hiatus, you released that album in the pandemic, so you know, things are continue to be touch and go. But yeah, I'm just curious, like what the feeling of being back was, if it was, you know, relieved or again, like, I mean, not that you would not enjoy it, but yeah, just like how it feels to be back, I guess.
It feels tremendous. It's you know, it's great. I mean, definitely it's been tricky, obviously, to say the least, of trying to find the right places, times to play. Timing everything right with this pandemic has been crazy, but we've been lucky. Like the first show we did back was a huge outdoor show, and it was just really emotional and exciting and fun. And
I think we got better at like focusing on the things within our control, because we're like, this is just the environment right now. There's nothing we can do about it. So how do we maximize what we're trying to do in this circumstance?
Exactly. And luckily we were kind of prepared with material. Like when the pandemic started, it was a little scary at first because we had our album under, you know, our belts, like kind of ready to put it out. But then that happened, which, you know, I've sent everybody into a panic and like, oh no, what's going to happen? What are we going to do? Is this stupid? Should we even do this? But I feel like we were prepared with a lot of videos and releasing one thing a month during a time in which I think people really needed some new music and new stuff coming out. And
we were trying to bide our time and like be like, well, this can't last more than a couple months, right? So
yeah,
let's just start putting out some music videos, and like that'll, like, you know, give us some lead time before we can actually play again.
Yep. And here we are. But we know we're doing it, and the shows are great. So, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Packy, I know you mentioned kind of you have to let go a little bit. Like you can't strong arm a pandemic, which unfortunately is the case. But I guess besides that, or in that, has your or even just from the hiatus, do you feel like your relationship with playing live has changed at all now that you've kind of had time to step back and breathe from it, instead of just that, you know, constant slog of it?
Definitely. We're definitely not taking anything for granted anymore, because like before, like it was just like touring was just what we were doing, and now like we realize like this is what we get to do. Like we're really like just like blessed to be able to do this.
Yeah, for sure. A lot more, I think, gratitude is gone into our perspective coming back, just for what we've built, for having anybody listen to us at all and be passionate about it, for being able to play shows, especially during this crazy time. It's just, there's a whole lot more gratitude with the whole thing than before.
Yeah, Yeah, that's yeah, that makes sense. I guess so. I'm kind of out of my pre-written down questions, but I am curious just because we've been talking about tour so much, like what, and I would imagine again it's evolved, but kind of what that looks like for you guys in terms of, you all in one van, are you flying places, what kind of crowds you would expect, if there's really a noticeable difference between different areas, and kind of just what it looked like for you.
Yeah, well, right now we're flying, so we flew out to Colorado, and we'll be out, flying out to LA. So it's we're like, yeah, then we get a van here and cruise around in a van, and rent some gear, get everything we need. But when we're back kind of more on the East Coast, if we're doing gigs that are kind of closer to where we're at, we're rolling a van and trailer, and yeah.
Yeah. It's different too. I think that the type of person coming out right now is like more gung ho. Like there's like to buy a ticket to go on a show now, like you really have to be a fan. You really have to like, mean to be there. And so like I noticed that like people are just really, really just grateful that we came in the first place.
Yep. Yeah, the definitely enthusiasm level is really high.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of weeds out the like, oh, I guess I'll go check this show out or whatever.
Yeah,
It's like it's people who want to see you guys, and like, yeah, we'll take a medium risk to do so. So
Right.
that's definitely good. I guess any well, I am curious about, since you started in Ithaca, or just New York in general, I guess if there's any, like if playing, back on the East Coast in kind of the areas where you started, if that feels different, if that, if it's either more important to you, or you notice, a different reaction from the people there, or if it kind of all blends into one thing. Sorry. Yeah, if it all blends into, touring.
No, I mean, I think the reaction is definitely much stronger. I think around, I want to say maybe 2016 or so, before we stopped, we started to notice like something happened a little more at our shows, where people were coming and like already knowing our new album and singing along, knowing the words, and people hearing about us from, I don't know, different ways, like just on Spotify or something like that, and coming out to a show. And I feel like that's continued, but it also, in that amount of time from the time we stopped till now, people just listened to it even more and got even more like passionate about it. And there's this additional enthusiasm that like we're doing it. So, it's definitely exciting. And it's a different landscape. Obviously with the pandemic, just venues are going in and out. It's a tough time. So things are changing. So it's interesting to have been around and kind of observe the changes.
We were almost more prepared for this than I think a lot of acts that were like really on the road, like heavily in 2020 when all this started, because we were kind of used to like not being out in the first place. So like all this, like, it, at least for me, like it gave me like a bigger, like, I don't know, I had more patience with it all.
For sure, yeah. And that's something I hadn't really considered, is that, yeah, you guys didn't come to a screeching halt with everyone else. Like you slowed down a little bit before and had time to assess. So
right, and we were looking to ramp up like right when everything came to a screeching halt. So we're like, all right, well, we're used to waiting, so let's just continue this.
I honestly feel like some of the things that the majority of people were experiencing when the pandemic started, of just real struggle, depression, what identity without work, who am I? Yeah. We already got the first course of that,
Yeah.
So
like, oh, you're new to this?
We're at what do you call it? It's like we're at a 300 level class in loss and not knowing what the hell's going on.
Right.
We're advanced in that, so we had an advantage.
A doctorate in coasting.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Doctorate in floating.
Yeah. Grad school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess trying to think of more questions for you guys because it's a fun interview. I guess any you know, again, Ithaca, I'm sure is a blast to play, or just New York, that area. Do you have any cities where you can kind of feel that there's more of a, not even an appreciation for you guys, but just where the music scene feels more electric, I guess? Like there's kind of more buzz about it, or if it's again kind of everywhere's the same.
We're in Denver right now, and this is Colorado in general has always kind of been our second home, just because the music scene here, especially in the last decade, has just exploded. So it's been nice to be coming back and seeing like, you know, our people again out here. And yeah, like there's definitely distinct differences. Like you go to the South, it's a different kind of fan. Northeast, like where we're from, it's a different kind of fan. And
or like, you know, we play in the city, like New York, a whole bunch throughout our career, and that's been kind of interesting to see. Like sometimes you'll do shows in Manhattan, sometimes you'll be in Brooklyn, et cetera. And so like I feel like there's distinct moments and shows that like popped off at certain times, and that you can kind of remember, like and getting a sense of that scene that's there in New York as well.
Yeah, for sure. And well, I've been to New York once for a week, but I did play a show there in at the Mercury Lounge in
Nice.
Manhattan, and it's like
Mhm.
I didn't spend too much time in Brooklyn, but I did get the sense that it is a very different
beast.
Yeah.
It's a different beast. It's like a different, it does feel very different. And I would imagine, playing shows in either place is different. And also who's opening for you or who you're opening for can make
totally.
a huge
In
difference.
New York specifically too, it's like it's a different city altogether, because like they get progressively nicer to you. Like, but when you first start playing, it's just like, okay, you can park here. Okay, I'll unload your stuff. Okay, now set up. All right, now shut up. Now pack up your gear. No, you got to get out of here. No, you can't stay here.
Yeah.
This whole hallway's got to be clear.
Yeah.
You got to move the van. You got like there's just so many rules when you first start doing it, but then slowly, like every time you go back, it's like there's one rule that's not there anymore.
Yeah. And eventually I think we discovered that kind of Brooklyn was a good place for us, because it seemed like a lot of our fans and like / friends, over the years, whatever, were more there. So if you're like, playing in Manhattan, they might be like, well, I don't know, man, I just got home from where I don't want to take the train 45 minutes. Yeah, whatever. So like that became a thing. But then Manhattan can be cool too, because it's just so electric. It's just like you feel like you're in the middle of the world.
Yeah.
But it's they're just two different beasts, like you said.
It's like asking people to like drive down from the valley after they've been working like downtown all day.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And New York does benefit from a significantly better public transit system, but yeah, it's that same like, oh, I got to go all the way over there to do this.
Yeah,
like,
right. I just got back to Silver Lake. You guys are playing Venice tonight? I don't know if I can make it out there.
Yeah, no, I've bailed on many a show for that reason, for sure.
Yeah.
What was I gonna? Oh yeah, about kind of the rules. Again, that was my experience of like, at first I was like, oh my God, I was playing in a friend's band. So I wasn't, I had no ego about it, but I was like, this is very cool that I'm at this like real ass venue in New York. And then, it was immediately faced with like, okay, do this, like that drink ticket doesn't work. Like, you can only get this cheap beer, it's all that stuff. So we
have a infamous live show recording. It exists somewhere. It's on like CDs, like early days. We were playing in Brooklyn it was probably one of our first shows in New York, called place called Trash Bar.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be kind of a fun place to go.
Aptly named too.
Yeah, aptly named. And I think it'd be like a fun place to go to, like to have a drink, whatever. But like, so as a band, it was like we were like one of like 10 bands or something that day. And because they do shows like from
starting at 3 p.m.
Yeah, 3 p.m. till 3 a.m., And so there's this famous recording where it's like we're like at our last song, and I'm like, all right, we got one more song for you. And then you hear the sound guy go into his mic, he goes, actually, no, you don't. Good night. We're like, okay, sorry, I guess we don't have another song.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
The sound guys, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I was surprised, especially in New York. Like, I would imagine that like they would be, you know, kind of giving and yeah. Well, I'd imagine that they'd, you know, want to work with the band to do, you know, what everyone's going there to see. But yeah, there's definitely kind of a surly attitude with sound guys for sure.
Yeah, and you get it because if you're a sound guy, you're dealing with just group after group of just jackasses, and like that just grinds down on you, I'm sure, after a while. And if you spend years just like doing that over and over again in the same club, that's when you end up getting on the PA system and telling the band to shut up, you gotta stay.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I'm not, no judgment there either. I'm sure, yeah, that's it probably feels good too, like to kind of have that, you know.
Yeah.
He's got the upper hand in that situation a little bit. So
yeah, I remember early on too, it was always a compliment from a sound guy when they'd be like, yeah, most bands that play here suck, but like you guys are okay.
yeah, that's like the nicest
or like
thing.
we'll be like, I actually liked your band. Like they like that kind of blunt. Like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, that's probably as nice as it gets. So
Yeah.
yeah, take what you can get for sure. Okay, I think we got about half an hour. And I think this has been a spectacular interview, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to talk with me. Is there anything you want to announce, or you know, any last words? Any
Well, we're gonna be
shout-outs?
playing Costa Mesa next Thursday, or no, Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah, we're playing Costa Mesa at
Wayfarers, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, second, third, fourth. Yeah.
Because I think you guys are up in LA on the third.
Exactly, LA, and then San Diego on Friday, or was it Friday?
San Diego's Friday night, and then we immediately have to drive to Tucson after the show on Friday to play at the Gem and Jam Festival.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, come on out to the Mint. You said you'll be there. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, for sure. I'm super excited for that. And yeah, this has been Jimkata with KXLU 88.9, broadcasting live from Loyola Marymount University. Thank you so much, guys.
Cool. Thanks, Angus.
Yeah, thank you.